Who is responsible for filing a worker compensation claim? It would be very helpful if you would mention the state in which you were injured, as workers' compensation laws vary from state to state unless you are a federal employee. In the state of Washington, you have two options. You must inform your employer immediately after an injury occurs whilst on the job. Your employer will then fill out the necessary paperwork. The other option is a doctor. You can walk into an emergency room or doctor's office and they will fill out the necessary paperwork. Depending on your relationship with your employer, I recommend the latter. The reason being, your employer may insist on driving you to a clinic that is known for siding with the employer, rather than an emergency room. Remember that you have a right to choose which doctor you want to see or be the one handling the medical aspect of your claim. You also have the right to change physicians at any time your claim is open unless an appointment has already been scheduled for you to see an independent doctor by the work comp insurer. One very important thing to note when opening your claim is that you never want to have a chiropractor as the primary treating physician on your workers' compensation claim. A personal injury claim is a different matter. Even though a chiropractor is a doctor, per se, they are not medical doctors. You should always make sure that the physician handling your claim is an MD or DO, not DC. The reason for this is that at some points throughout your claim process, the work comp insurer will schedule appointments for you to see an independent medical examiner (IME) to evaluate you and your claim. You can be sure that this physician will be an MD or DO. If this physician deems you able to return to work and your chiropractor disagrees, the medical doctor's opinion will carry a lot more weight than a chiropractor's, therefore closing your claim with no further treatment. Your chiropractor may dispute it, but since a medical degree is much higher than a chiropractic degree, the state will not accept their dispute. If you feel you need a chiropractor at any point, you can ask your treating MD or DO to refer you to one. As always, it depends on your state. Workers' compensation is always a matter of state law, except for federal employees, so it is dependent on the laws in the state. However, generally speaking, the employer is required to file a claim with the insurance company and, I believe, most states require that the insurer file with the state. But sometimes, the employer will claim it did not know about the injury and the worker will have to file. There may be other reasons under state law for the injured worker to file, particularly if it appears that the employer or the insurer are not doing something that should be done. Your best bet is to consult an attorney in the state in which you live whose practice is primarily the representation of injured workers in workers' compensation cases. The former employee. If that person wants to get unemployment benefits, then they have to apply. It is not automatic. To be eligible, you need these. Number 1, formerly employed by an organization. Being self-employed doesn't count. Number 2, you have to be laid off from that organization. Not fired, for cause, like stealing or beating someone up. Number 3, you have to be actively looking for new employment. That's a big one. They don't want to pay for your vacation from work. If you are hurt at work, it's your responsibility for reporting the injury. The best policy is to report it right away. Sometimes injuries are first reported by the attorney representing an injured worker, or the worker reports it and then obtains an attorney. If the employer had first knowledge of a claim, they should report the injury to the insurance company.